What up, folks? Welcome to another episode of the Father Figure Podcast. I'm your host, Reggie George. Always here with my trusty co-host, man, my guy Deontay Miller. What up, D?
What up, Reg, man? It's always good to come and kick it with you on the show, man. I think we got some hot stuff we need to talk about
Man, we
today.
got we always got the hot topics and like we definitely we in sync, we synergized, or I don't know if that's a word, but you know what I'm saying? Everybody got the gold standard on today, man. So don't think that was done. This was not scripted.
No, sir.
You know what I'm
No,
saying?
sir.
It was just, this is how you know it's gonna be a good show, bro.
Right.
But we want to jump right in, man, and talk about tonight's topic, man. Of course, me and you talk about it a lot off air,
Right.
because with us both being married, man, women are a big part of us being father figures, fathers and father figures.
Yeah.
And we really want our audience to know, again, that there's a big difference in the two, because some father figures are not fathers.
Right.
And that's what our movement is about. But I think either entity is fueled by the women in our community, the women in our families, the women in our houses. So we really want to touch. We got a couple of different hot topics, man, that came up in social media. So we try to stay current with stuff.
Yeah.
But just give me, and like I said, we talk about it a lot with E. Shout out Erica. And we'll probably have our wives or, some women on the show after this particular topic, because we need to.
Right.
To get their perspective. But just tell me, man, how important it is to have your wife be your main co-signer in manhood, fatherhood, being a father figure.
Yeah.
Everything, man. Just tell us how important that is.
Well, I mean, it's like the saying that they always say, behind every good man is a strong woman or whatever, right? And so for me personally, man, having the support of next to God, the one person in my life that, is probably the strongest person in my life, having that support, man, that encouragement, even that affirmation, man, right? In terms of just getting that, you good enough, right, from your wife. That's powerful for me, man. Like, because at the end of the day, right, you on the same team. And so just as much as you pour out as a man, as a father, having your wife or that person in your life to be able to kind of pour back into you is always been something that was fundamental for me as a man, and even in our relationship, you know what I'm saying? And so, not that I depend on my wife to affirm me, right? Because as a man, I have to have that affirmation for myself. But to your question, it's invaluable, right? It's invaluable. It's like, when your wife shows you some appreciation, it's like, you done cleaned up the house, and she come in and be like, "Hey, babe, you did a good job." You be like, "Hey, what you need me to wash the cars too?" And so just having that affirmation, man, and that support, man, and that, like I said, that you good enough, hearing that, man, it's powerful, man, and it's uplifting and it's encouraging too.
And it's good you use the word affirmation, man, because as men, like you say, we may not necessarily need the affirmation from our wives, and especially those. We are talking about our wives, but once you procreate, once you have a child with somebody, man,
Yeah,
you want that affirmation. You may not necessarily need it, but you want that affirmation, man, especially when it comes to the provision part of what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Or the providing part of what we're doing.
yeah,
You want to be affirmed,
yeah,
because, and see, the thing that we understand as fathers, see, your kids affirm you without affirming you. And I'm saying,
yeah, no doubt.
when you walk in that door, when them kids run to you, or
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's all the affirmation we ever need from our kids.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And especially those of us who have daughters, man, There's nothing like your baby girl coming running to your arms, give you that hug.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So for our women, that affirmation is not needed per se, but it is high on the want list. Just because guys like us, and again, that's what the father figure movement is about as well, is encouraging those who are not active or who are not in the lane that we in,
Mm-hmm.
to understand, bro, there's no feeling that you gonna get to be affirmed by the mother of your kids or your wife and your children.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, even like we was talking about before the show, in the hospital, that's one thing I remembered a lot, man, is that the staff in the rehab unit even affirmed me, you know what I'm saying? And affirmed who I was. They, you know, I had shout out to Sugar Mama down at, and I know that sounds like some ghetto shit.
I'm like, Sugar Mama, who is that?
Shout out to Sugar Mama on the rehab unit down at Cook's Children. But man, she would even pull me to the side and say, "Man, Dad, we don't see many like you."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? This rehab unit had 45, 50 rooms, man. And I would go down to the break room, and sometimes, man, it'd be only me and another father, and all 50 rooms filled up.
Mm-hmm.
But
Man,
it was just the ultimate affirmation for her to say, like, man, a lot of these kids looking at you. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these kids is encouraged by the way you coaching your baby through rehab and making sure she going hard. And, you know,
mm-hmm.
like a lot of times that's what we don't understand as a society,
Mm-hmm.
how big those affirmations are. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think some of it is too just perception and you know the way we've been conditioned in culture in terms of a gender too. Like, because I think sometimes, and me and Eden talked about this. I think sometimes women, they're so used to you being a provider. They're so used to you being strong. They're so used to you, you know what I'm saying, being that protector in a sense that they do forget sometime, you know, and we've talked extensively about that where, hey, even now, every now and then, you know, you need that, hey, you know what? You good enough. Like I said a minute ago. Or, you know what? I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do, right? It's just like in a relationship, right? It's always easy to point out the things that go wrong or the things that are negative or the things that could be better. But even the smallest win is worth celebrating.
Right.
So even the smallest affirmation for us as men means a lot, right? Even if it's just noticing or recognizing the fact that you are there present when your daughter was in the hospital, right? Even though every kid in that room has a father and you're not their father, but them saying, hey, you know what? I see you. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much what she's saying. I see you. You know what I mean? And that go a long way, like you said.
And you know, that's really what our job is as really being on the front line of the father figure movement, man, is to really encourage everybody to understand.
Yeah.
First of all, we need the affirmations, but also for our fathers and our father figures to understand why it is essential to really be doing, even though we're doing what we supposed to be doing.
Right.
And a lot of times that's why our women and the mothers of our kids don't really affirm us, because it's like, that's what you're supposed to be doing anyway. Like, yeah,
right.
You are right.
Right.
But nobody, it's just like if me and you hooping, man, and you know, this is how we can break anything down.
Right.
If me and you hooping, and I know you're a shooter, and D can stroke that thing a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Man, look, that's the last thing to go. I still got that.
But you know, if I know you coming off a screen, let's say it's 10-10 in the game, we going to 12. You come off the screen, you let that thing fly, you in the game. I don't have to come over there and tell you good shot.
Yes, you do.
You're right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't have to come over there and say, man, oh, good shot. That's game time. Like, nah.
Yeah.
What it is just appreciation for what you do. You know what I'm saying? If I know you playing, if you running in two, you a shooter.
Right.
You the shooting guard.
Right.
So it's easy to say, like, man, that's what you're supposed to do. I ain't finna give you no high five. I ain't finna say nothing to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But at the same time, being a great teammate,
Yeah.
I'm gonna come over and tell you great shot. You probably gonna tell me great pass, man. It was right in my pocket.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, nobody has to do that, and you don't necessarily need it.
Right.
But what makes me a great teammate is that I decide on my own to come over there and tell you, like, bro, great shot, man. You know what I'm saying? Wait to end the game.
And that's actually what you just said is what I just highlighted a minute ago. Great teammate, right? It's, again, I said this on a previous episode, being on the same team, right? Being a great teammate, right? Affirming each other, right? And recognizing the good and the value that you bring to that situation or to that dynamic, right? And it goes back to what we talked about. And again, man, mothers are always worth celebrating, in my opinion, right? Because you have some good mothers that have raised some good men, right? But I just think that, again, because of the perception and just how we've conditioned ourselves, at least in our culture, right, is that, like you said, you're supposed to do that. You the man. I shouldn't have to tell you to do something that you know you should be doing. Well, yeah, that's true. But if I am doing this and you got 10 other cats that's not doing it, what does that say about me?
What does it say about me? And what does it say about society? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
See what it is you can't take for granted what I'm doing, because in society, I'm the minority. I'm not the majority.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That's why it's great to have those affirmations.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we got a couple of examples, man. If our trusted producer Sid want to put one of them up, they're both great examples of exactly what we're talking about and helping to change the narrative of just looking at
So I decided to take my son's father
child
to
support.
because it was causing turmoil in our co-parenting relationship. Recently, I looked up a few places for him to get his CDL so that he could possibly start his own trucking company, or he can even carry loads and make money for himself. What I decided was, you know what, Brittany, let me change my mindset. Let me help him help us take care of our child, and that's co-parenting. So I decided to take my son's father.
And shout out to Brittany. I don't know Brittany, but shout out to Brittany, man, just because I love her perspective at the end where she says, let me help us raise our child. You know what I'm saying? Not just you help me raise my child. You see what I'm saying? See, sometimes that's what becomes the perspective is you help me raise my child.
I think we got to remove the my and replace it with the our.
And that's what I'm saying. And that's why child support has such a negative connotation to men, is because that's what she's saying about changing the narrative, that she is using our and us.
Yeah.
See, those are the terms that you have to use when it comes to raising a child, and especially when it comes to two parents that are not together.
Yeah.
And you're co-parenting. Man, her perspective is spot on, because sometimes what child support does, and I've never been on child support a day in my life, but what I've seen it do is it takes that our and us away from things. It's just, how can you help me raise my child? And that's where we've put the damper, or the it's watered down fatherhood, because now child support becomes the barrier between two parents.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I magnifying that our versus my is powerful in a lot of different ways, in my opinion, right? Because you almost condition yourself with that mindset, and it kind of, you filter everything through that my child. I mean, even when Erica tell you this, like in no way, shape, form, or possible, we about to get a divorce or be paying child support or anything like that. But we could be talking, and she'll say, my kids, or if I say my kids, and we will correct each other and say our kids. right? Because for me as a father, that's significant to me. Like, I don't like it.
Well, D, what it's doing is, and me and Tiffany talk about this a lot as well. What it's doing is programming or reprogramming both of y'all subconscious, but it's programming your kids' subconscious.
Mm-hmm.
See, when your kids hear us instead of mine, or me and our,
Yeah.
It's programming their subconscious. Like, man, I'm gonna tell you one of my pet peeves around the crib is Tiffany say, "Go get it out of my room."
He like, I sleep there too.
Hold on. What'd you just say?
Right.
Like, no, it's in my room. Like, no, you ain't got no room.
Yeah. We just say the room.
The room, our room.
The room.
But again, everybody is a product of their upbringing. Everybody is a product of
Right.
of whatever has gone on in your childhood or in your. And I don't think, like you said, I don't think any of us do it intentionally.
Oh no.
But in times of decision making, in times of you never want to be in a place of my,
Yeah.
or you know what I'm saying? Because again, in a partnership, even what Kanye going through, man, and we ain't gonna touch on that much, but even what Kanye is going through is that now that they're divorced and they're apart, the decisions that Kim is making now is about my children.
Yeah.
And that's what Brittany is talking about is how do we raise our children? Like, if Kanye disagrees with his baby being on TikTok, then that is a discussion that needs to be had. It can't be like, well, you was cool with him when we was together, and this like no. You have to be in the now and listen to both parents say, okay, this is why I think she it's okay to be on TikTok. This is why I don't think it's okay to be on TikTok.
Yeah.
And when you don't have a space to have that conversation, now all the decisions are about me and mine.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, man, when you have a failed relationship, right? Even for men, right? I think we lose sight of that too because of maybe whatever we have to endure or whatever's transpiring between the mother and ourselves. I think sometimes we get in that mode too, right? And we lose sight of the fact that, hey, what I said earlier, regardless of what happened in that relationship, y'all still, whether you like it or not, are on the same team.
On the same team. Because again, y'all made the players.
Y'all made the players.
Yeah. It ain't a team. It ain't just a team because y'all was married.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It became a team because y'all created the players.
Yeah, yeah. And child support is nothing but a weapon that's there to disarm, in my opinion, the relationship or the possible relationship to have in terms of co-parenting, for that to look healthy, right? And anytime that gets involved, it gets real sticky. It gets real tricky, right?
And we not letting the cats who inactive and deadbeats off the hook.
No, not at all.
What we saying is, if you want to complain about child support, man, the only way that you can really have a valid complaint, even like what this girl is talking about, only way that you can really have a valid complaint is that you are a active participant. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You can't be inactive and you can't be, you never show up for no ball games. You ain't taking the kids nowhere. And then you can't have the double standard or be giving these oxymoron statements of why you want child support to stop and you inactive. Yeah. Yeah. Like, bro. But again, the door has to be open as well for you to be active. So, it's a great example of both parties understanding at the end of the day, it's about the well-being of the kid. Mm-hmm. And that means both parents being active without having to have the stigma of child support hanging over the father's head so he can have an excuse. And again, we even have a parallel that says excuses can't raise children.
No, not at all.
But at the same time, when I don't have the resources, now I become defensive about that.
Yeah. And that's pride.
But again, some of it, is legitimate for both parties. See, a lot of times women, well, he ain't paying this, he ain't paying that. And then the man is like, well, she making me pay. So both of them have legitimate concerns.
Mm-hmm.
But just like what she's saying, figure out where the common ground is and understand that common ground is not about y'all. It's about the common ground that makes us better parents.
And it goes back, I'm going to keep saying it. What makes us a better team? What makes us a better team, right?
Make us a better team.
Listen, it's like if you and I get a new coach, does that change the dynamic of our team? Maybe. But if you and I still remember the fact that, hey, we have chemistry together, we've been playing together, I know you, you know me, I know where you weak at, you know where my weak at, you know how to play to my strength, I play to your strengths, then guess what? We still are able to create a dynamic that's a good team.
And we can bring that to the new coach.
Exactly.
Because we showing you what we've been effective at, how it's been effective, how we done won some games.
Mm-hmm.
Now, like I say, it becomes a give and take, man, to where it's just what's better for the team.
Yeah.
And rolling right into our next example.
We got them examples
Man,
on
you know
deck
what I'm saying?
today.
We've been but as you can see, man, this is keep flipping and see it one more time. Yeah.
There you go.
So Texas mom goes viral after baby daddy gets out of prison and buys her son a car. So the overview of the story is that the dad, the father, had promised the kid or the mother that he was going to buy the son a car even when he was in prison.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also asking, or it says on there somewhere on the post, it's about, first of all, the mother allowing the father to do that regardless of what his setbacks are, regardless how long he was in prison. But it was also about the father keeping his promise,
which is the moral of the story here.
The moral of the story is, first of all, and shout out to my homie Ed Hennings, man. But we had Ed at the conference,
right?
And Ed had some huge points, man, that I never thought of when it comes to incarcerated fathers, man. There's no way to get that time back.
Yeah.
It's impossible to get that time back, but it is possible to build that relationship from where it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because this father is just showing his ability to say, look, I may have made the promise in prison. I may have made the promise to your mama, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But my attempt to grow this relationship from where it's at now is me keeping my promises.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Whether it's about a car, whether it's coming to pick the kid up, whether it's, like we talking about going to a game, whatever the case may be. That's why our mantra is be present, not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard that, man, like I said, we had Ed did the conference, man. Ed did 20 years.
Right.
And man, just to hear some of the things that he was saying about what he lost and how it affected his children, but I also heard how he was reestablishing that relationship based on where he is now.
Mm-hmm. And I think, man, keeping your promises, right, and it sounds cliche, but it's important, right, even as fathers, man, to because you teach your kids, man, in terms of what your word mean in a sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, kids, just like they'll affirm you, kids will keep you accountable.
And they're going to affirm you both ways.
Yeah, right? And so one of the things, shout out to my wife, man, and I appreciate her keeping me accountable because, of course, I'm not a dad. If I tell my kids I'm going to do something with them or for them, then I'm going to make sure I follow through. But just like in life, you get caught up doing whatever you're doing, you get busy or whatnot. And in passing, you don't think too much of it. You're like, oh, I get them. And she like, no, because this is why. And then I started to really think about it. And I'm like, man, I don't even want to set that precedent with my kids that, hey, if daddy says this, as soon as something else comes and takes his attention or takes his time, then he doesn't have time for me. And so now, again, I'm like, shout out to my wife because she helps keep me accountable, because even with all the different things that I have going on, if I'm even getting close to like missing something that I said, she like, hey, you remember? You said, yeah, you know what? And I'm going to move everything around to make sure that I keep that promise.
And you got to, bro, just because, and again, not to discount our boys, but with those girls, man, they will eventually be looking for that consistency or that validation elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about, and I'm gonna give you a prime example of what you're saying. Like, so I'm consistently telling the twins, man, don't tell me what you can't do.
Right.
I don't want to hear that. Don't tell me what you can't do. So, man, maybe about 2-3 months ago, man, they come to me. And, you know, all the kids like, Daddy, do this TikTok with us. Do this TikTok dance with you. What's the first thing out of my mouth? I can't do that. I can't do that.
Right.
Hey, bro, both of them look at me like, do what? You can't do it. And I was like, ooh, like, you know what? That's my bad. Like, and both of them was like, bro, we don't want to hear that, man. Like, don't tell us what you can't do.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, I'm TikToking. You know what I'm saying? because like what we saying is like following through with what you saying. Like, man, I can't hold them. I can't follow through with them and tell them what they can't do.
Yeah.
And then even when it comes to something small like a TikTok, they're like, man, look, we don't want to hear that, bro. Like, if you gonna hold us accountable, we get to hold you accountable, and that's part of the affirmation. That's an affirmation for a father right there. That affirms that that the message that you giving them, they receiving.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And just like with this young man, like, bro, a lot of what his father was not there for in prison or couldn't do in prison,
right,
is a stain. It's a stain, and there's nothing his father can do about that. But at the same time, going forward, you can build a relationship that will kind of overshadow some of those things, because the reality of it was the man was in prison. Yeah. So that's a lot different from just your average deadbeat, I ain't around daddy.
Yeah. And shout out to I got to say this, shout out to Pastor E for this one, because you just said something powerful when, you know, you said, you know, it'll kind of overshadow, right? You can't get back the time, and you can't, right? What is done is done. But one thing is for sure that he's always said, and it's true, whether it's with your children or whether it's in your relationships, is a consistent path of doing the right thing will help rewrite some wrong that has occurred in the past, right? And so one of the things, even as fathers, whether you're talking about Ed, whether you're talking about this father here, or you're just talking about a father in general who feel like they missed out on some time, one thing you got to be mindful of too, right? You still got to give your kid balance, and you can't overcompensate for the time that you feel like you've missed. Because guess what? You can't lose sight of, I'm still your father, and I still have to rear you in a way, well, depending on what age they are, or give you guidance, or establish the foundation the best that I can from a practical and a healthy way. Me just giving you to replace the time, that's no comparison.
That ain't it. Just because, again, the gifts are one thing, but again, what we trying to say about this particular message is about following through with what you said you was gonna do.
Yep. The word, man.
And like you say, shout out to Pastor Eben. Shout out to Word of Truth Family Church, man. Y'all need somewhere to check out. Me and D are members of Word of Truth, man. We
absolutely.
We both of us have grown a lot, man, and a lot of what we are as men comes from having healthy relationships with other men and mentors, and Pastor E is a big part of that, man. But that's also a part of father figuring. See, people think because I'm 45 or, you know, like, bro, it never stops.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It never stops, because mentorship is as important as fatherhood to all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No doubt. No doubt.
Because again, you and I are both ex-athletes. And a lot of what we learned about life skills came through athletics.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know they were life skills at the time, but think about learning how to do things you didn't want to do. I know 100% of that came from coaches and athletics.
Yeah.
Those mentors,
Yeah.
because the purpose of the movement, the purpose of the apparel, the purpose of this podcast is to understand that fatherhood, mentorship, leadership is as essential to our communities and our families as anything, because and again, not to get super and I'm trying to say this because I don't, sometimes women get offended when we in this era of toxic masculinity. I don't know what that is. But
don't get him started, man.
Manhood is the foundation of community and family and really everything. A lot of times you say that, and that's why I was kind of hesitant. You say that, and it feel like you stepping on women's toes, but that's not really. Again, in the team concept, if LeBron is the leader of the team, and we all understand that and respect that, but at the end of the day, we got a common goal of this championship, and this, you know what I'm saying? We all benefit from that. It ain't just like LeBron get a ring.
Right.
Everybody get a ring. And then I'm pretty sure LeBron wants you to be the best point guard on the team, or the best shooting guard, or the best big. And that's what men should mean to our families and our communities. Like, look, just because I say I'm the foundation and I'm the leader, that does not mean I don't want my wife or my children or, the kids that I might mentor. I want everybody to be the best.
Right. It's just going back to being a good team, man. And I think to the point that you're making, right, is even as men, right, being a fundamental piece of family, right? I think that within that family, there's going to always be the roles that, I would have to take on and E would take on. And if I'm missing from that picture, then you're asking her to take on a role that she's not familiar with. And as a result, guess what? You have a breakdown in your family system.
There we go.
And so because of that, I understood what you were saying. You're not saying it from the space of that, like, hey, manhood is the only way or the only thing that holds this thing together, but it is the foundation or the concrete, the foundation up under that house that you build, right? We talk about it all the time. A man can go and work and purchase a house and do all of that stuff, but it takes the woman to come in there and make it a home.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can tell you and I ain't no shame in my game. Bro, when I was single, before I was married, look, I had a nice place. But, I mean, it wasn't nothing up in that bad boy.
Right.
I had, couch and TV. I didn't even have a real table.
Say no food in the refrigerator.
Yeah, I had what I eat,
Yeah, that's it.
But once that, your wife come in or that woman comes in and she kind of put some little plug-ins in there, put some little decor on the wall.
Some extra furniture.
You know what I'm saying? And she turned that thing into a home. And so going back to the family system and pretty much what you're saying, man, even in communities, there's a specific set role for women, right? We talked about this before, right? So if they're missing, guess what? There's some things that we're going to miss in terms of being able to give our children, or it's going to be a challenge to do it, right? That nurturing aspect, that aspect that's maybe not innate in us until we're forced into having to learn it. So as men, it's important to understand the value that you bring to community. It's important the value that you bring to your family. And then on the flip side of that, it's important that that's recognized.
It's acknowledged. You know what I'm saying? So, to kind of close things out, D, another great show, of course. But shout out to our women and these women that we saw in the example.
Yeah.
That's really what empowering and encouraging and uplifting father figures is about, man. It can't just come from, a lot of it we want to come from each other.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But like you say, the acknowledgement and the affirmations, we also want that to come from our wives and the mothers of our kids and the women in our communities, just because one thing about us as men, man, we appreciate, and we gonna give you them the compliments and the affirmations, because we understand what strong women mean.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But sometimes being a strong man, women assume that does not come with pats on the backs and affirmations. You know what I'm saying? So we'll dedicate this show, man, and you know, to those Brittany and the other girl. I'm saying Brittany like I know her.
And let me just say this real quick, man, because you just said something, and I don't want to open up another show right now, but I got to say it. As much as we would like for that affirmation to come from, you know, our wives or our significant others, it's just as much as our responsibility for one man to the next to affirm you.
There we go.
You know what I'm saying? I think it's even more important for us to affirm each other as men and kind of put aside the pride and the like you say, the macho-ness, the manhood, and say like, bro, hey man, you know what, man, you a hell of a father. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's go a long way.
Nah, and I'm gonna tell you, before we close it out, man, like even having Elliot on the show the other day, man, it put a little frog in my throat just to hear his perspective on what he saw when he came to the court, or you know, like, you know, it really affirms what you just said, is that, bro, I didn't really know how much I needed that from to hear that from another young brother who said, man, look, you gave me perspective on how to deal with things.
Yeah.
You gave me perspective on what strength looked like.
Yeah.
You know, I thought strength always looked like fighting back or beating somebody up. But like, man, that's a great point, D, just because, again, it just on this show a couple of weeks ago, bro, it really meant a lot to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Even you and I, and you say Pastor E always asks how we connected, but a lot of that is it come from that mutual respect and them in-depth conversations we done had, and them in-depth affirmations and those type of things. And a lot of times, even in the hospital, bro, hearing from y'all is what, you know, cause you know, man, I'm in a family of all females. You know what I'm saying? I got sisters, I got nieces, I got daughters, I got a wife, I got a mama. So sometimes just hearing from y'all, man, it was that true to life, iron sharpens iron, because there's no way, even if I explain it to you, there's no way for me to give you anything tangible that'll make you understand how deep I was in that valley at the time.
Right.
But sometimes just those calls or those text messages, man, is what also created the movement, because I understood, even us as fathers and father figures, man, we need those pats on the backs and those affirmations, man.
No doubt.
So, man, we're going to close it out, man. Always a reminder before we end the show, man, y'all go shop www.f2apparel.store. Get you some apparel, man. You know, we trying to be the gold standard, give you some everyday gear to wear, not just for Father's Day, not just that one time, man. We evolving this thing into an everyday movement. And of course, you know, me and D represent the gold on accident, but it looked good on camera. But man, closing out, man, I hope everybody got something out of this show, man. Y'all make sure to comment, share, subscribe more than anything. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, man. Y'all tap in, leave us some comments, man. Let's get some dialogue going. Ladies, And I think in the next couple of weeks, man, we'll have maybe E and Tiffany, or however we want to do it, to get some more in-depth perspective on that. But for the time being, man, we appreciate y'all, and y'all be cool. F2 Podcast, baby.